Are you a truth teller? Or do you find yourself just trying to say what people want to hear so you could be perceived as nice? Are you a truth teller? If so, what do you think holds more weight? The words that you speak or the actions that you live? We're going to jump in today, your legacy of being a truth teller. We are now in the legacy series at the nurseann.com podcast, and I'm coming right now from the front lines as a certified emergency and mental health registered nurse for many years and still going. So let's jump back into being a truth teller. So have you ever found yourself telling people what you think they want to hear because you want to be nice? We're going to get into some interesting media about that, some scripture verses, some bonus content from my published devotionals. And at the end, as you know, if you follow this channel, there's always a prize at the end. And it's really super exciting today. I'll tell you about that very quickly. But once again, are you a truth teller? Do your actions speak and your words speak up about how you live your life? Does it help influence others? This is the legacy series, Leaving Your Legacy. And remember, leaving your legacy isn't just for the future, but it's also now as you go for everyone around you, including yourself and those you care about. So let's get into some of the articles. The first one is by Marcia Farrick. And the quote that she left here says, "An honest answer is the sign of true friendship." Nurse Ann, why are you holding and pointing a spatula? It's in case your comments get out of line. Just kidding. But anyway, have you ever found yourself telling people what you think they want to hear because you want to be nice? The excuse you tell yourself is that you don't want to hurt their feelings. When you really mean is what you don't want to feel uncomfortable speaking the truth. Being nice is at best apathetic and at worst cowardly. What? No, I'm really a very nice person. Think about it. First, being nice when it isn't your truth is lying. Lies indicate that you don't value the relationships. Lies deteriorate intimacy and destroy personal connections. You're better than that, and so are they. If they're not, then why do you have them in your life? Second, you're only responsible for managing your own feelings and around telling your truth, and you're not responsible for anyone else's feelings. You know, even though that being said, there's a way to tell people the truth. And sometimes, as I said, it's not always our words. There's not always the time and the space that you're allowed to give your words, or it's going to be perceived and taken in. So sometimes it's better even just to be quiet and live that by example, which carries a lot more weight actually when you're living out what you're trying to say and acting with integrity. And one of the podcasts in the legacy series is Your Legacy of Integrity. Check those out. Follow this channel because it's filled with tons of inspirational wellness. Also breaking out of mental struggles and breaking out of your boxes. And at the website, nurseann.com, you can see it in the descriptions. There's so much there to help you with your inspirational wellness of body, mind, and spirit, because what? They work together in synergy. Anyway, back to this. You do not have the power to control someone else's feelings any more than they have the power to control yours. Third, do you fear that you won't be loved or liked? Are you a people pleaser? Have people punished you historically for telling your truth? And that can happen when we do live honest lives and tell the truth. And as I said, we can work on finding ways to tell it better, knowing when to be quiet and just let your light shine. If you have to change your truth to be loved or liked, then you have compromised yourself. And who then are they really loving you or the you they want you to be? We don't have to fit into boxes of the molds that others want to put us in, what society and media are telling us. We can be unique, authentic, vulnerable, and live our own truth. And I also have some videos of breaking out of boxes and being vulnerable and authentic, because your authenticity is truly beautiful. Respect your own truth and respect others enough to tell them your truth in a kind way. You will honor yourself and others when you're brave enough to tell them your truth. The truth told with love and caring is the greatest gift we can offer others. And that was from the site by Marcia Farrick. It was very helpful. So let's jump into one more media and then some verses about truth telling, and then the bonus. And oh, I forgot to tell you the prize at the end. And it's exciting today, and I'm going to tell you why. So at the end, I always give you a short, quick, action-packed chapter of my published fictional drama where you get to ride along with the frontline workers rescuing those in crisis. You're going to ride along with paramedics, nurses, doctors, police, caseworkers, the family, the church, the community, and see how they help others in crisis of mental, physical, and spiritual. But you know what? It's so full of action and adventure, along with advocacy and awareness. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Follow. You'll see it also at my podcast and YouTube channel. And all the stories are in order. You can also skip around to the subject that you want to hear. And I'll show you how to get the book and the audiobook also, because that'll make it easier for you. So this media is from Rocky Garza, his website, How to Be a Truth Teller. Being a truth teller might be one of the most important factors of any relationship. What do you think about that? Is truth being the most important factor in your relationships? Leave that in the comments if you like. The ability to be clear, to be honest, and to say exactly what it is you're feeling when you're feeling it is so important. And just like a muscle, it takes time and practice to build this skill. Now, I understand that in our professional circles, and it could even be in our family and our other relationships, it's not always acceptable to share how we feel 100% of the time, every time. And I also talk about that in my podcast, and at the website, you'll see a tab about boundaries. We do have to have boundaries in our lives. We're not just going to blab everything. Telling your truth isn't just about blabbing everything and saying what you feel in the moment and possibly hurting others' feelings. It's really about just being authentic and living a life of integrity. And if you see someone that you care about headed down, blazing down a sketchy life path, finding a way in appropriate time to maybe bring that up in a gentle and kind way, because you care about them and you've seen the consequences, maybe even in your own life. And you don't want that for people that you care about. So even in non-professional circles, he tells us there's a difference between being vulnerable and emotional dumping. Yet he can't encourage us enough to communicate the reality of where you are and what you feel, and cannot fully express how beneficial that it is to deepening your relationships. Do you want your relationships to be deeper, or just surface and shallow and telling each other lies just because you think that it's gonna seem easier or something? I don't know. Leave that in the comments. So what does it mean to be a truth teller? It means being you, not attempting to be who you think you're supposed to be, not attempting to be who you think someone needs you to be, not attempting to be who you think you have to be based on the person in our life that you really love and say what they say you should be. It's the freedom to solely be you, openly, authentically, honestly, and it means trusting that you are good. And if you don't think you are, there's things you can work on. So when we're a truth teller, it gives us the ability to walk into confrontation and conflict freely. And we don't have to go into confrontation with an angry or grudging attitude. Even in Proverbs 15:1, it says a soft or a gentle answer turns away anger and wrath. So there's a way to say things to keep that relationship on a better level. Confrontation and conflict doesn't have to be the enemy. It doesn't have to be something we're afraid of or worried about. It's the conflict and the confrontation that allows us to see the goodness in the beauty and the truth. Where do you need to be a truth teller? Where do you need to walk into confrontation or potential conflict and trust that it is those things that create conviction? If you're someone who hears confrontation and wants to run away, what would happen if you redefine confrontation as an opportunity to be a truth teller? Confrontation wasn't designed to create a negative impact. It was designed to give us the ability to speak openly and freely about who we are and what we believe in and how we believe we can create good in the world. What does being a truth teller look like to you? How have you viewed conflict? Where can you trust it in your gut? The thing you're feeling might be, in fact, the thing to set you free. And that was from Rocky Garza's site. And now we're going to jump on some verses about telling the truth, and then a couple other interesting articles quickly, and then some of my bonus thing before we jump into the prize. So make sure you're following and sharing this and leaving your comments. So one of the verses about truth is from dailyverses.net, and it's Psalm 15, 2 and 3. Those whose walk is blameless, who does what is right, who speaks the truth from their heart. And how do you speak the truth from your heart? First, we have to do that introspection, that prayer, that soul searching, to work on our hearts and our souls and our thoughts and our minds, to clean out the clutter and things that don't belong there. Work on that, and then we'll be able to speak the truth from our heart, from mouths and tongues that don't speak slander against others, and who doesn't do wrong to neighbors and others and casts no slur on others. That means not gossiping, lying on others, bringing them down. Psalm 15, 2 and 3. And then the next one is from 1 John 3:18. Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and truth. Of course, even more than our words, our actions speak louder. I believe that. What about you? And I like this one, 3 John 1:4. And I believe this is one of my life verses. What about you? 3 John 1:4 says, I have no greater joy than this hear and see my children are walking in the truth. And our children, it can also be our loved ones, our family, others that we care about. And I find that to be true. There's almost no greater joy in life next to having that relationship with God than knowing that those that we love and care about are actually walking in truth, because we don't want to see them walking in the dark or things that are messing up their lives. And as I said, we might even be able to teach that from our own past example. And then this one is always good, Philippians 4:8. Finally to you, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or true or praiseworthy, think about such things. And that's always a good one, even to try to memorize, so that when we're caught up in listening to things and we're not sure if they're true or right, we'll have that foundation of thinking about and meditating on and putting in our hearts and our minds of what is true and right. In Ephesians 4:15 says, instead, speak the truth in love, and that we're going to grow and become in every respect the mature body of Christ. And then Psalm 25:5, guide me in your truth and teach me, for God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. Yes, we can get that guidance from God to walk and know the truth. And then 2 Timothy 2:15, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who doesn't need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. In Proverbs 10:32, the lips of the righteous know what finds favor, but the mouth of the wicked only what is perverse. In Psalm 34:13, and then we're going to wrap it up. Keep your mouth, your tongue from evil, and keep your lips from telling lies. And that's the media content. And so now we're going to jump on. Here's my pets. What do you think? Leave that in the comments. But let's jump on now to a couple books, just a couple short excerpts from them so we can then jump onto my bonus content. So the first one is How to Communicate with Confidence. This is a great little book. I think I picked it up in an airport by Dr. Mike Bechetli. And I'm just going to read a quick from chapter 14. He talks about handling tough conversations. And this is about truth telling, because it's hard sometimes to find the right time, the right energy, the right mood that someone's in. But we don't want to just shy away from telling ourselves first, and then others what could actually help them level up and have better lives. And of course, we have to tell ourselves and learn these lessons first. We all have stuff to learn, myself included. So no matter what your skill level, eventually you'll end up in a conversation that becomes uncomfortable. That most often happens when someone has a different personality style than you do, and it's good to be prepared with some basic approaches to use in any situation. You'll know how to respond as in those tough conversations and avoid being manipulated. Do you want to be manipulated, duped, lied to, or tricked? I also have a podcast video, Stop Tricking Yourself and Stop Getting Tricked. Check that one out. It's just a few back down the list. Sometimes you just sense that the conversation is moving downhill. Knowing how to watch for that downward slide makes it easier to handle because you can take action before it's too late. Sometimes the nosedive that takes place suddenly when you're not expecting it. Has that ever happened to you? You're in a conversation and things just go downhill and you weren't prepared for what somebody was going to say to you or how they said it to you. And then you got caught up in maybe an emotional reaction. That's happened to me. But we can learn also about that. I also have videos on emotional resilience, learning about how to develop that strength, that muscle of emotional fortitude and resilience so that we can step back at the situation and handle it better. So he gives us how to look at some of the most common things that go wrong and possible solutions, like when someone disagrees with you, when someone is rude, when someone is angry, when someone uses inappropriate humor, when a person becomes critical, when people constantly complain, when people pressure you, when a person talks too much, when someone constantly interrupts, and he tells you about your responsibilities, stress-free connections. And the next chapter is Attitude is Everything. So we're going to move on, but that was How to Communicate with Confidence by Mike Bechetli. I think you'd like that if that book is available. It should be out there. And then a quick from 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue by Deborah Smith Pegways. I think I also got this a long time ago, also in an airport kiosk, but 30 Days to Taming Your Tongue. And in as I said, when we do need to have those tough conversations, there's a way to do it, with politeness and kindness. But this one is day 17, the tactless tongue, and she reads the verse from Colossians 4:6, which says, "Let your conversation be gracious and effective so that you'll have the right answer for everyone." And she told the story about how Daniel, when they were being challenged, how he was able to get his needs and requests met by being showing grace and wisdom and compassion. And then she jumps down to say, is it ever necessary to be brutally honest? After all, can't we be honest without being brutal? Even Job declared in the midst of his suffering, how painful are honest words. Must pain always accompany the truth? The extent to which a person experiences pain from being told the truth depends on numerous variables, including their degree of emotional security, their personal work, or desire to grow. I hope you have that desire to grow and get emotional security and maturity. We must understand that extending grace and telling the truth are not mutually exclusive concepts. And the key is to develop a habit of being tactful in every situation. And then she tells a story. But then she says, becoming a tactful person does indeed require some practice. She told about how the Federal Communications Commissions, the FCC, sometimes mandates broadcasters to delay transmission. And sometimes we need to hold back on what we say and delay our transmission. We can review the words in our minds and evaluate their impact. We can then choose to yield to God's leading through His Spirit, and this practice alone will help us to develop the emotional discipline necessary for stifling tactless remarks. In her affirmation for today, my words are seasoned with grace as I speak the truth in love. So now we're going to jump into just a quick things from my bonus devotionals, and then we'll jump to the prize. But everyone, your nurseann.com tip is get a drink of water. Drinking water all day is so healthy for you. It even gives you healthy cells. Do you want healthy cells? Of course you do. So the first one is from my mental healing poetry devotional. We all need mental healing. So there is a poem in here I wrote it's encouraging and inspirational poem called Glow. I'm just going to read you a quick line from that. And it's the end of the poem, but it says, speak up, get up, no need to shut up. So what are some things that you need to speak up about in your life and also for the lives of others? People may be getting picked on or bullied. And the next one is from my Word Puzzles devotional. And there's a link on the website for all of these. These are interesting and unique words. And then we talk about everyday life struggles. And you know what else is in here? Medicine for your soul. And that's by Nurse Ann. Hopefully, your favorite nurse, and I'm a new indie author. So check those out at the website. You can see that in the description. And this is from the letter M. The letter M, sponsored by the letter M, like Sesame Street. But the word is maleficenous. What does that mean? Do you know? It means a soft or gentle voice. Yelling and anger saturate the world. You can be just about anywhere and witness a display of impatience and flaring tempers at battle. Just driving in traffic is enough to cause a meltdown from an otherwise peaceable person. The title of a book by Dr. Stanley is another evidence of the enormity of this problem. Surviving in an angry world. What is the solution? Fire back your own dangerous arsenal? I'm sure you've heard the saying that anger is one letter away from danger. As an emergency and mental health nurse, that's me, I don't think I could have survived this field for so long without attempting the practice suggested from Proverbs 15:1. There it is again. When we reply with a soft answer, it can help soothe the atmosphere of animosity. On the other hand, we're reminded that harsh words given in return will add fuel to the fire of fury. And that's inspired from Proverbs, which is a lot of practical wisdom from our guidebook for living. So we're about to jump now into the bonus and the prize. I just want to show you my latest is Ignite Life Poetry Devotional. This is also discovering as you go to dare to inspire and bless everyone in your path. There's a lot of life stories, life struggles, serious life struggles that people go through with some short poems and then devotionals, encouragement, inspiration. So Ignite Life Poetry Devotional by Nurse Ann. I also have the Inspiration Battles Devotional, Biblical Medicine for Real Life, along with Soul Searching with a dose of encouragement because I want you to stay inspired. And there's Energized Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit because what? They work together in synergy. Let's now jump into the bonus and the prize, and then you can get out of here. And I forgot to tell you why it's so exciting today. The last episode was also exciting because we read the last chapter of book 3, which is The Mental Falls, A Tent Under the Bridge. And now it's exciting because we're jumping into a brand new book. And what is this, Nurse Ann? It's a 6-part series that I created in my free time as a busy nurse on the front lines of mental health and emergency each episode, because with your help, it's going to be a television drama series with your help, please. And each episode highlights mental health and emergency struggles that you go through, we go through, that you see others go through. And then you also ride along with the frontline workers helping to rescue. You also see their own mental battles and relationship drama. So we already finished book 1, which is The Mental Files, Sheep Among Wolves. 2 is Dr. John Doe. 3 we just finished, and it's the Mental Files, A Tent Under the Bridge. There's a link at my website for all these. Now we're about to jump into the Mental Files Defenders of the Week, where you talk about anxiety, people getting bullied, how they help each other, all the same drama with the workers. And then Ready, Willing, and Able is next. And then the season finale is Out of Control. Do you ever get out of control? So let's jump in, but to make it cheaper and almost free and easier, it's in one book, The Mental Files First 6 Stories Edition by Nurse Ann, link on the website. One more thing, then the bonus is it's also an audiobook, because we don't always have time to read. It was narrated by Drama Simpson. He brought it to light with siren noises, action. It's on Audible and iTunes. You're going to get to ride along. You're going to feel like you're right there in that movie and or television drama that it will be one day. Check this out on Audible and iTunes and leave a review. The Mental Files First 6 Stories Edition by Nurse Ann. So let's jump into chapter 1 of the brand new book. Then we're going to get out of here. The Mental Files Defenders of the Week. So chapter 1 is called Why Am I So Different? Chandra was shivering as she ran in the drizzle. Where was she going to go? It was getting late, and her heart was already full of fear without compounding it with cold and darkness. She wanted to go back to her warm dorm room, but then she would have to face the hatred and taunting from the trolls who had singled her out online. Not to mention the popular sorority girls that whispered and giggled whenever she walked past them after class. Why did I ever think I could start a blog page? I just wanted to share my poems. I thought maybe someone might connect with them and feel some relief. This life is too much to take. I wish I wasn't so useless. I just want to help people not to feel so much pain and rejection, she thought. She reasoned to herself that if she could ease the pain of someone else from the kind of terrors she faced, then maybe her messed up life would have some type of meaning. Do you ever feel like that? Sliding down to the curb, she started to sob uncontrollably. I should have known not to put my ugly face on my bio picture, she cried to herself. Between her shivering and sobs, she didn't even notice the patrol car stopped next to her. Officer Leon had been dispatched after a 911 call from her concerned roommate. Chandra had forgotten she had left her computer open with the hateful words directed towards her still on the screen. And the poem she had written was so dark, so ominous. Her roommate, Tanya, was a little freaked out. Tanya was used to her roommate being quiet most of the time. She also wondered why Chandra preferred to isolate in her room instead of hanging out on campus. What was Chandra always doing on her laptop? Well, now she had some insight, but it was not looking like good news for her introverted dorm mate. Leon had stopped to pick up his new fiancée for the mission. The officer knew from experience that the compassionate and experienced mobile crisis caseworker would know just what to say to a runaway young lady. He had witnessed firsthand her expertise and calming presence on their previous search and rescue missions. Driving in the rain near the campus, the team wondered if they would ever find the missing person. Her roommate had reported that Chandra had missed 2 of her morning classes and had left the dorm room unexpectedly without her coat, keys, or phone. Even though Chandra seemed a little weird, she was either quiet and withdrawn or having anxiety attacks and going to the hospital. Tanya still didn't want anything bad to happen to her roommate. "Leon, pull over," Lita gasped. "There's a girl right there crying. She's soaked." Following the directive from the love of his heart, Leon parked next to the girl that looked to be in her early 20s. Then, grabbing a blanket from his trunk, he wrapped it over the girl's shoulders while Lita sat down and tried to elicit her story. "I don't think I can face the haters anymore. I'm tired of trying to fit in. No matter how hard I try, the ridicule is incessant," wept the weary college girl. After listening to her story and offering reassurance, the kind caseworker was able finally to convince the girl to let them take her back to the dorm. It's almost over. As Leon opened the car door for Chandra to get in the car, her blanket became caught in the door. That's when he noticed the blood-stained blanket and fresh cuts on Chandra's arm. Seeing the concern in her soon-to-be husband's eyes, Lita looked down at what Chandra was now trying to hide. While Leon stepped away to call for an ambulance, Lita sat with the injured girl in the back seat. Not wanting to interrupt Lita's attempts to connect with Chandra and encourage the young lady to get help, Leon stood a few feet away to wait for EMS. And that's the end of chapter 1. Next is chapter 2, Paramedics to the Rescue. And so make sure you're following this channel, share it with others, leave your comments, and I'm going to see you for chapter 2 and more as we continue your legacy. We've talked about kindness, truth, integrity, advocacy, wisdom, and there's some more, but I'll see you over at nurseann.com.